What happened before the Big Bang? We have all asked it. It feels like the most natural question in the world. That question relies on the assumption that time is a pre-existing, continuous track, a coordinate system that exists independently of the matter and energy moving through it. To understand why that assumption fails, we need to look at what time is made of. In finite distinction systems, time is register time. It is the ordered structure of updates in physical records. A second passes only when a physical system, a clock, a brain, or a cooling atom, registers a change and updates its internal state. Crucially, this update process creates causal order because each new record carries a dependency pointer, a physical trace of the state that came before it. Without a record to carry that trace, the very concept of before or after has no physical substrate to exist on. If we follow the chain of updates back to the Big Bang, we eventually reach the very first record. Because this is the start of the ledger, it contains no pointers to a previous state. There is no physical marker of change to distinguish one moment from another prior to this point. When the physical chain of records stops, the logic of time stops with it. The word before loses its meaning because the physical mechanism required to establish a sequence hasn't begun yet. Let's strip away the cosmos and start at an abstract baseline, a theoretical state where absolutely no operational differences exist. No particles, no forces, no space. The most basic building block of existence is a distinction, a separation that divides one side of a system from another. It creates an explicit inside and outside. A purely mathematical distinction cannot build a universe. To become a physical reality, that distinction must be mapped to a physical carrier, like a boundary or a stable record. Stabilizing and continuously updating this record costs energy. The system must spend a finite thermodynamic budget to keep the distinction from washing back into the noise of its environment. A continuous chain of these active, resource-constrained updates generates a reliable causal history. This is the birth of a system that can remember its own state. Existence is the cumulative work of these active systems, massive networks of distinctions, spending their energy budgets to keep their boundaries intact. To see how space and gravity emerge from these records, we have to zoom out to the macro scale. On this scale, we encounter the causal screen. This is a physical horizon that acts as a boundary. Because every system has finite resources, this screen can only hold a finite, countable number of possible states. The coordinate-free ledger used to account for this finite state count is what we call entropy. In this view, entropy isn't just a measure of disorder, it's the size of the system's ledger. This chart outlines the theoretical bridge. Finite causal access establishes a horizon boundary, whose area acts as an entropy ledger. Energy flows update this ledger, producing gravity and spacetime geometry as the macroscopic result. Spacetime balances the universe's books. Gravity is the hydrodynamic response of a vast accounting network of causal-screen ledgers. We can now return to the Big Bang, viewing it through the lens of finite causal-screen accounting. This moment represents the hard limit of our current geometric description of reality, the boundary of the ledger. This framework does not imply the universe emerged from absolute nothingness. Instead, it identifies a transition in the state of the system itself. The Big Bang is a threshold where unrecorded states became maintainable, causal boundaries. Here, the universe achieved the capacity to register its own existence. The focus of our inquiry moves from an unreachable prehistory to the mechanics of the present. Every second of existence is a physical maintenance job, a universe paying a thermodynamic price to remain distinct, one update at a time. The universe begins where distinction becomes maintainable, where boundary becomes causal, and where record becomes time.